Welcome to Please Bet on Football Games.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Please Bet on Football Games podcast. I'm your host Alex, here with the on-air talent Joe. Joe, how's it going today?
Talented once again.
Yeah, much better, huh?
We're fucking back, baby.
Yeah, all right. So, week 8, after having a minus 5.2 unit week 7, we came all the way back and had a 4-unit week, digging out of that hole a little bit. For the year, it takes us to minus 9 units. However, that feels so much better than getting into negative double digits. It's important. You want to talk about some of these games?
Let's talk about these games.
So, obviously, we already talked about our first bet, which was Minnesota versus the Rams, because we made the podcast after this game happened.
Yep.
So, we just have the other 4. We had our big winner, Cleveland over Baltimore, plus 8.5. They won outright. It was only a 1-unit bet, but we were definitely on the right side there.
It felt good and we needed it. That game was nuts. Like, there was a lot of bullshit. Like, the Browns dropped 2 interceptions. The Ravens dropped 2 interceptions. Justin Tucker missed yet another field goal. He seems to do that a lot now. There was just a ton going on in this game.
The Ravens receivers had some terrible drops, too.
They did. I think that overall, it meted itself out relatively fairly. I don't know if we deserve to win outright, but we definitely deserve to win the bet.
Yeah, and that's all I'm talking about. I think in a completely fair game, Baltimore probably wins this, but they're definitely not winning it by more than a touchdown. I would expect that, like, the way this game happened, it's a 3-point game.
Yeah.
Baltimore probably should have won, but we had 8.5, so fuck them.
Fuck them.
All right. Our only other loser of the week, we had Green Bay over Jacksonville minus 4. This one, obviously, they won by 3, so we lost by 8 points.
Yeah, we got backdoored. Green Bay was winning by 10 all game. Even without Jordan Love, we were fine. We just got backdoored, and that stinks, but it happens. It's a coin flip game. Like, yeah. We deserve to lose just as much as we deserve to win. We didn't get unlucky. This is what happens when you bet big numbers.
Exactly. I mean, we knew we were playing with fire going in with minus 4, and it bit us, but such is life. Next game, our real big winner, at least off of bullshit and units, was Washington over Chicago, money line for 3 units. That was a plus 140 bet. If you didn't watch football or haven't looked at anything football related since Sunday, they won on a Hail Mary that deflected off of like 3 different Bears. It was insane.
No. Just 2 different Bears, one of which, the primary of which, was busy talking shit to fans for the first 4.5 seconds of the play. Literally, they timed it. The ball was snapped, 4.5 seconds passed, then Tyreek Stevenson stopped talking shit and went to do his job. And then he didn't do his job because it turns out he was supposed to be the one covering the bounce pass recipient.
Which is hilarious to me because he didn't even screw up the play necessarily because he was talking shit, just because he didn't know what he was doing after talking shit. Like, he still could have got into the play, obviously.
The cover-up is always the crime. Nobody was mad that Nixon rifled through some papers. People were mad that Nixon lied about it. Tyreek Stevenson didn't mess up by talking shit. Tyreek Stevenson messed up because he talked shit, got panicked because he realized, oh no, I should have been doing my job instead of talking shit, and then did something wrong trying to make up for talking shit. If he would have just hung out, stuck next to Noah Brown, he smacks the ball out of the air, Bears win, I make fun of Commanders fans. Instead, underthrown Hail Mary turns into a touchdown, we win, damn near 4 or 5 units?
Let me see. I think it was 4.2. Yes, 4.2.
So we win 4.2 units, and Commanders fans think that their quarterback is good because he threw a bad Hail Mary that ended up winning. I love this fucking league. So stupid, but I love our handicap anyway because I think that the game would have been further out of reach for the Bears if Mariota had played. We'll never know. The hypothesis didn't get to be tested, and we were picking Washington at +3 when this happened. So I love the bet. I think that despite the bullshit Hail Mary to win, we deserve to win the bet. I also think that the Bears were very fortunate to ever have a lead. So, yeah, we deserve that one.
Yeah, I mean, I think because as much as they did rack up yards and they got into the red zone a lot.
Yeah.
But they came away with what? 4 field goals?
Which is typical of Jaden Daniels' run teams. Jaden Daniels terrible in the red zone.
So, like, yeah, they put up a lot of yards. They had the Hail Mary, which, I mean, the Hail Mary it wasn't like a Mac Jones or Tua Hail Mary. Like, it still went 60 plus yards.
Yeah. No, I mean, it wasn't an embarrassing Hail Mary by any means.
Yeah, like, I think if nobody jumps for that ball, it definitely lands in the end zone. And even with people jumping.
They did the next gen stats. It would have landed at the 1.3 yard line.
Really?
And so that marks the first Hail Mary, which landed before the goal line, but ended with a game-winning touchdown in 5 years. And the last one was also against the Bears.
That's crushing.
Yeah.
So I do think it's tough to say like, oh, Mariota definitely would have scored more points. I think he would have, because even if you want to argue that he's not as effective and they don't move into the red zone 4 times, he's going to score at least a touchdown.
Hard to imagine that the 33-year-old quarterback can't figure out how to read one play out of 12 to score a touchdown instead of a field goal.
So I think I don't totally agree that we deserve to win just because it was an insane play. But I don't think it's bullshit necessarily.
Yeah, I don't think it's bullshit.
I think this was kind of a coin flip game.
It was definitely a coin flip, but anytime you can get a plus 140 money line on a coin flip despite your quarterback that you handicapped not playing, I think you did pretty well.
Yeah. All right. And then the last game was we had San Francisco over -4. That was 1 unit. That was it.
Dak Prescott is he sucks, dude. This was not
I don't understand him, because like he's been a pretty good quarterback. Like he's never been great because he doesn't have the physical ability, but
what happened to him?
He's solid. Like he's an above average quarterback, especially in today's NFL.
In today's NFL, you make a better argument, but what happened to Dak, I believe, is that in the last 2 or 3 years, he started getting much more aggressive, like trying to fit the ball into tighter windows, trying to throw a lot of seam shots. And you may remember at the beginning of his career, he was Brock Purdy. It was just like, oh, he hit a 2-yard slant. And then CeeDee Lamb did some shit, or Des Bryant did some shit, or whatever. Amari Cooper even. When he started getting more aggressive, he started exposing himself more as a very replacement level starter. Like he's still a starter, but he's not good. Like I think that Kirk Cousins clearly separated himself from Dak a couple years ago.
Yeah.
So I think Dak is like somewhere a little bit below Geno Smith, which is like, yeah, he's a starter, but like I don't know if I want to like stick to that. And of course, he's the highest paid player in football.
Yeah.
Ever.
Oh, that's just because.
Yeah.
It's a Jerry Jones team.
If we pay them like the best, they'll play them like the best.
All right. Well, let's move on to week 9. The season is flying by.
Yeah.
All right. And on Thursday night, we have the Houston Texans going to play the New York Jets. The Jets are -2.
Fucking why?
I don't know. Like Houston hasn't looked great. Like we talked about it last week they've been like kind of a by the skin of their teeth team that doesn't play very well, but either gets lucky or has a couple clutch plays. But they're 6-2. So you'd think that they would be the favorite team, especially when you have the Jets, who have been horrible.
The Jets who just lost to the Patriots.
With Drake May for a quarter?
Yeah.
Something like that.
By the way, you're like, you know what this means. I don't know if all of our audience will. Drake May had a 10.5 slugging in 13 dropbacks.
Wow, that's insane.
I've also renamed slugging PGP, play grade points.
Okay. PBFG.
Stop confusing me with letters. Let's just, because we don't understand this line and I desperately want to bet on Houston, let's break it down and just build it from the ground up. Like, so the Jets have a mediocre offensive line. It's okay. It's not good, but it's okay. The Texans have probably the second best defensive end duo with Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter, and now they have Danico Autry back as their 3 technique. They're going to get pressure on Rodgers, and Rodgers has been taking a lot of bad sacks this year. And as good as Devontae Adams is, Derek Stingley can cover him. I don't know if he can lock him up, but he certainly is going to be on that ass. Jalen Petrie is a perfect matchup for Garrett Wilson, and I'm not really afraid of anything else the Jets do on offense. So I think that the Jets will certainly be kept under 30, probably under 24. Flip to the other side of the ball. What's the issue been? Like the purported issue with the Texans? Their offensive line stinks. Well, they're not facing any fucking NFL defensive linemen, except for, of course, Quinn Williams. It's so confusing because they used to have Leonard Williams, and then they got rid of Leonard Williams, but they kept Quinn Williams, and they're both very good defensive tackles of very similar caliber and skill set, in my opinion.
Was Leonard Williams with the Jets before he was with the Giants?
Yes.
Wow.
And then he was quote unquote a bust because Jets fans.
Oh, yeah.
And then he went to the Giants and was super fucking good. And then he went to the Seahawks where he's kind of fell off the face of the earth because the West Coast doesn't really matter. Except for LA. Go Lads. Lads in 4.
Go Years.
I thought Muncie was going to hit a home run as I said that to tie it up. So you're going to be able to run the ball on the Jets because everybody can. The Jets aren't going to get a severe pass rush because they just can't. Tank Dell and Robert Woods leaves something to be desired as a wide receiver core, but it's still plenty. It's plenty more than the Patriots and Jacoby Brissett just rolled out against the Jets last week. Sauce Gardner's fallen off the face of the earth. I think that this is very doable for the Texans, and they're only laying 2. They just have to win. And plus, something that I don't think people are taking into consideration, the Jets have to be a complete fucking shit show off the field right now. Like 2 weeks ago against the Steelers was their we fucking need this one game, and they didn't win. And then last week was, okay, we've pulled out every stop, we've signed every free agent, we've traded for everybody, we've fired all the coaches we don't like, and we're playing the worst team in the league. We have to fucking win. And they lost to the backup quarterback. They have to be in disarray.
Yeah, I think they fired Robert Saleh and then have looked worse and lost every game.
They've pulled out every conceivable stop every week for the last 3 weeks, right? Like they fired their coach and changed play callers. That didn't work. They went and traded for the best wide receiver. That didn't really change anything. They signed their premier pass rusher who had been sitting at home all summer. That's not changing anything. There's nothing left. There's no Aaron Rodgers buddies to go sign. There's no coaches left to fire. There's no asset left to use. They're fucked, and they know it. And now they're 2-6. It's over. It's going to be nice weather, so the Texans don't have to worry about that. They're going to run the ball well because the Jets can't stop the run. I don't see how the Jets win.
I mean, I worry a little bit just because the Texans have they haven't been good this year. They've underperformed expectations, despite the fact that they're 6-2.
I agree.
There's no Nico Collins. Now there's no Stephon Diggs.
Stephon Diggs doesn't really move the needle at all.
No, but I think they think he does.
Sure. And Nico Collins definitely moves the needle.
Absolutely.
But
so they're down to Tank Dell and old ass, is it Robert Woods?
Yeah. But that's
Robert Woods.
That's so much better than Kayshon Boutte and Kendrick Bourne. And you know what? That was enough to beat the Jets 6 days ago.
Yeah, but
3 days ago. Also, transitive property doesn't really work in sports, but
right.
When Houston played the Patriots in week 6 with Drake May for the whole game, they won 41-21. And then the Jets lost to them. And not in a fluky game, like in an honest, fair game, the Jets lost. And Houston barely beat the Colts last week. They beat a division rival with a really good coach and lots of good players. Whereas the Jets, haven't won a game since week 3.
When they shit all over the Patriots.
Yes, the Jacoby Patriots. Also, they got a lucky-ass win against the Titans because Will Levis threw the ball backwards.
Yeah, I mean...
And a punt block for touchdown.
And they're +2. I mean, yeah, it's Thursday nights. We don't have to make a pick right away, but I think I'm in. You've convinced me.
Let's say the Jets win. Does the vibe in their locker room change knowing they're 3-6? and they can win out to get 11 wins and probably still miss the playoffs, or at least be on the precipice of it?
No, I mean, I think, yeah, if you're, because I'm looking at this game of how we can lose, right?
Yeah.
And say Houston isn't able to pass at all. The Jets are able to at least be competitive against the run because they can stack the box. Rodgers makes some crazy plays because he does have his buddies there, and they win by a field goal.
The thing is,
but Houston's going to be able to run all over them. The Jets are in absolute disarray.
The Jets are also prone to these close games, and we're catching points.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm in. We can make it a bet right now if you really want to.
I don't really want to because I like plenty of bets this week, but
that's
all on that pile.
Yeah, absolutely. But let's move on to Sunday. Kicking off in the noon hour, we have the Dallas Cowboys going to play the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons are -2.5.
I want to fade both of these teams, but when push comes to shove, I'm left wondering, like, why the fuck the Cowboys are considered anything but a bad team. We talked about this in the offseason. It's a legitimately bad offensive line. They don't have good weapons on the outside. They don't have a running back at all. Their quarterback's mediocre at best. Why the fuck would we be, like, why is this team top 20? They're not.
No. I mean, and your reason for optimism coming into the year was you could hope that the defense was going to be elite because in theory you have two very good corners, two very good defensive end pass rushers, but the corners aren't very good, and both Michael Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence are hurt.
Yeah, I mean, like, the Cowboys defense is fucking putrid, and the number one thing it's most putrid against is the run. Enter Bijan Robinson. You got to go Falcons here. And the Falcons are going to bullshit their way all the way to the playoffs.
I mean, they really might. Well, so Tampa Bay deserves everything that happens to them.
Yeah, well, they employ Todd Bowles. They should have never done that.
I'm kind of same boat with this one.
Like, better.
Actually, I like this one more than Houston.
I like it a little more. I agree that I kind of want to put it at the very tippity top of the maybe pile just because it's our second game. And I don't love either of these teams, but the Falcons are the better team. They're at home. They're not demoralized. The Falcons are riding high. They just had another divisional win. They feel like fucking gangbusters. All of a sudden, Kyle Pitts might know how to play football. I don't think anything has changed for the Falcons, but their vibes are riding high, whereas the vibes for the Cowboys have never been lower. And I think that the Falcons are basically better in every facet. I like their offensive coordinator a little bit more. I like their personnel more. I like their quarterback more. Yeah, Falcons are the top of the... No, Falcons are a pick. Cha-ching it.
Bet Falcons, -2.5.
All right.
All right. Next up, we have the Denver Broncos going to play the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens are -9.5.
These teams have the same record.
Yeah, I don't know if you noticed that I paused a little bit in between reading the teams, and it was because I was like, are the Broncos seriously 5-3? Doesn't feel right.
No, it's because it's not right, and it's about to be corrected. 5-3 it's about to be 5-4. Look, I think the Ravens are overrated, and I think that any team who plays them in man coverage and has a fast linebacker that can run with Lamar is going to prove that out. I think that the Broncos actually match up really well against the Ravens. I just don't want to bet on Bo Nix. He's that bad and inconsistent that if I knew Bo Nix was going to play competent football, I'd bet Broncos, but I can't know that.
Yeah, I'm same boat. I mean, I think the Broncos defense will give the Ravens a lot of fits, but I wouldn't be surprised if Bo Nix scored 14 points for the Ravens.
Well said.
So I think we move on.
Yep.
And up next, we have the Miami Dolphins going to play the Buffalo Bills. The Bills are -6.
Did you catch any Dolphins versus Cardinals last week?
Very little. Mostly highlights and some late drives.
So I didn't watch a second. Meaning I'm assuming that Tua is just as good now as he was before he got brain trauma. Even that being the case, I have to look Bills here just because Tua is really bad even when he's healthy. And I don't know if he'll ever be healthy again. Additionally, the Dolphins are kind of running out of reasons to play, and the Bills are kind of looking at every possible reason to continue playing at a high level. Amari Cooper has revolutionized this offense too. even when he's not making catches or being targeted, he changes everything because he slides Shakir to the slot where he belongs. He moves Coleman to kind of like an auxiliary piece where he belongs. He gives them so much variability as run pass, like splits. I just fucking love it. I love this fit, and I really like the Bills. The only thing getting in the way for the Bills is possibly their offensive coordinator, but I don't think that'll be an issue. I have to lean Bills, but I don't want to lay a touchdown.
Yeah, I think it's tough because even with Tua being Tua, you still have Tyreek and Waddle and Mike McDaniel.
Yep.
And when you're at 6, it's just like we were upset about some -4s last week. 6 is
It's just too big.
It's asking for a backdoor, and I don't think we have to make this bet. I agree. I would probably lean Bills. I don't even know if I would put it on the maybe pile though, just because it's 6 in a divisional game.
Completely.
The Bills still aren't that good in a lot of positions.
Laying 6 is reserved for really good teams versus actively bad teams. And the Bills aren't quite really, really good, and the Dolphins are not actively bad.
Yeah, so let's move on. Next up, we have the New Orleans Saints going to play the Carolina Panthers. The Saints are -7.
Kind of crazy.
Yeah, the Panthers are bad and they're selling, and the vibe's got to be low there. But the Saints have 4 players that started game 1.
Yeah, no Rashid Shaheed. Bub Means is still playing, and Twitter keeps on telling me he's good, and I don't know why they do that.
Wait, is Carr back?
Maybe?
If he's back, I understand this number a lot more.
Yeah. It sucks for Spencer Rattler because you can see why people are so intrigued by him, right? He's a good thrower of the football, and he's a decent athlete, but he's small and he's panicky and he fumbles a lot because he's small. And it doesn't work in practice. It's great in theory, but it doesn't work in practice. Man, it's really desolate out in these streets. I'm not betting on this game one way or another just because it's too messy. I don't know who's playing quarterback for either team. If it's Carr versus Bryce Young, yeah, sure. I could see betting Saints in that scenario. If it's Dalton versus Rattler, you'd have to be ludicrous to bet the Saints in that scenario. So, fuck it. Next game.
Next up, we have the Las Vegas Raiders going to play the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals are -7.5.
All right, next game. I'm not joking at all. We're not fucking talking about that game.
Yeah, I agree. Next up, we have the Los Angeles Chargers going to play the Cleveland Browns. The Chargers are -2.
Buddy, I think I want to go back to old reliable and bet on the Browns.
I mean, I think you're right. I'm surprised that the Chargers are favored. I figured it'd be pretty much pick 'em, but I figured it'd be the Browns because they're home and they just beat the Ravens. I understand there's definitely some flukiness to it, but kind of on both sides.
Damn, it's going to be 62 and not raining on Sunday because that would absolutely put this game in the Browns' hands.
Are they going to let Justin Herbert throw?
No, they don't really do that. I actually just made a video today about Justin Herbert because in week 7 and 8, he was unreal good. Week 8 was probably the best performance of any quarterback this year. And they scored fucking 20 points, dude. They don't pass the ball. When they do, it's really poorly designed. It's a lot of screens that are not well designed. And Greg Roman he's addicted to having all of his receivers go to spots within 5 yards of each other on the same side of the field, which is
Not a great plan.
No, if anybody's ever played Madden, you know that's the dumbest thing you could theoretically do. They really only have one wide receiver who deserves to be in the league making money, and that's Ladd McConkey, a rookie. Outside that,
look great though.
I mean, he's really good. He's Emmanuel Sanders. He's a good fucking receiver. He's not a star, but he's a good receiver. Shohei, how could you swing at that? Because you literally do not have the shoulder strength to stop your bat when you begin. The Chargers offensive line also, despite the fact that they've spent $1 bazillion in picks on it, is not very good. It's okay, but it's not actively good at all. I don't see how Ladd McConkey gets open a ton when he's playing man, or he's being covered in man by either Greg Newsome or Is Ward hurt?
That's what I was just looking at. I don't know. I mean, he's not made of paper mache. He's a little bit better than that. Reinforced paper mache. No, he got a concussion. Oh God, that's like his fifth concussion. That dude, he's so good, but he needs to have like 3 Guardian caps on.
Yeah, the Guardian caps look really dumb, but I don't know why you wouldn't wear one. Like, if you've had a couple concussions, why wouldn't you? There are positions where you don't really get concussions, but like, who cares? Unless you're a quarterback, I could see how that would get in the way. Anyway, when nobody came here for medical advice, this is tough. Betting on the Browns would be betting on the lesser quarterback. It would be betting on the team with much less hype, but I think it'd be betting on the better roster with the better coach at home with similarly good vibes.
Catching points too.
Yeah, but what's 2 points really worth? It's
the way the Browns play.
True. Look, it's a maybe pile.
Yeah, I agree.
It's tough to bet against Justin Herbert. He's that good. Like, the last 2 weeks, their team has done everything wrong, and he has been so good it didn't matter, and they should have won both times. Granted, they played the fucking Saints last week, and they played the fucking Cardinals 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and the Saints with Spencer Rattler and Jake Haener.
But the Browns are going to be riding high because of the Ravens win, and they're probably going to come back to earth a little bit. Fuck
That's
it.
true.
We're getting way too in the weeds on this game. Our instinct is Browns. Let's lean Browns. We'll come back to it if we need to.
That's a good idea. All right, next game. We have the Washington Commanders going to play the New York Giants. The Commanders are -3.5.
I lean Commanders. The Giants are so fucked. Like, Daniel Jones provides nothing at all. Like, Daboll's coaching his ass off, but their defense lacks personnel. They have nobody in the secondary. They're having problems. They just had to bench Banks, Deontay Banks, because he wasn't trying hard enough. But it's like, dude, he's your only good defensive back at all. Yeah. Losing the way they lost to that Steelers team is gonna fucking bite. Like, there's so many reasons to like the Giants, and then there's also Daniel Jones. It's like,
it's tough. I mean, the line is finally playing well, relative to what they've done.
The Giants line played really well, all things considered, against a fierce Pittsburgh D line. Like, no, they didn't play well, but when you're starting Chris Hubbard at left tackle against J.J. Watt and Alex Highsmith, you can't go better than that.
So it really is just Daniel Jones and then a weak back end of the defense, because Dexter Lawrence is insane right now. I don't understand him.
Oh, he's a monster. You can't run on him, and that's going to really hurt the Commanders. But I just don't know how the Giants hang, and the Giants have nothing to play for. Yeah, the Commanders will probably come back down to earth a little bit from last week, but
they scored 12 points until last second Hail Mary.
I mean, yeah, they scored 12 points. They scored fucking 12 points.
Yeah, I think Washington is definitely the lean. Obviously, the 3.5 is kind of scary, but Washington's better. They've been playing better. They're healthier.
I don't really believe in the Giants' defensive line as a pass rush unit, so I'm not worried about them blowing up the pass game. Okay. The Giants probably aren't going to get pressure within 2.5 seconds. The Commanders love throwing quick screens. The Giants don't have a secondary. Their entire defense is built upon the premise that they can probably get home eventually, and that's all they can hope for is just sacks. You can't sack a guy who isn't holding onto the ball. On the other side, theoretically, you can do anything to this Commanders defense, but the Giants can't do anything on offense. So I lean Commanders, but it's bad football, and I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, 3.5 is a tough number. Washington still doesn't really make a lot of sense how people don't score 40 points against them every week. But yeah, let's maybe pile it and move on. And wrapping up the 12 o'clock hour, we have the New England Patriots going to play the Tennessee Titans. The Titans are -3.5.
This game will be on my big TV.
Are either of your guys playing?
Great question. I don't know. If this is Drake May versus Will Levis, I will actually really enjoy watching this game. If it's not, I will not watch this game.
Yep.
The entire Titans offensive line is a fucking wreck. God, it's so bad. And now they're on their third string right tackle. It is so bad. Remember when people were telling me that Will Levis was the problem and J.C. Latham was actually a great left tackle? Not that I give a fuck about them, but look at those PFF grades right there. Mason Rudolph's third worst quarterback in the league. J.C. Latham, backup left tackle. Frankly, it's such a universal failure that I think it's Brian Callahan's fault. But I digress. On the other side, the Patriots are a poorly coached team, but Drake May changes everything. He's so fucking good. I'm not exaggerating at all, and I'm very well aware of what I'm saying when I tell you that I think that Drake May is the third or fourth best quarterback in the NFL.
And that's somewhat of an indictment of the league.
Oh, yeah.
But he's looked good. He's obviously had some silliness. He's looked like a rookie, but he looked really good last week before he got hurt.
Last week, I gave him an A+. The week before that, I gave him an A-. The week before that, I gave him a C+ in his first ever start. I mean, it's a tiny sample, but it is encouraging.
Especially in this bad of a roster.
Plus, the Titans are fucking selling. Like, if the Titans have Levis and the Patriots don't have May, I think the Titans win. But if it's May versus Rudolph, I think the Patriots have a damn good chance, certainly within the 3.5. Ultimately, we can't bet on this game because we have no idea who's playing quarterback on either side.
Exactly. I mean, I agree. I think if May is playing, you go Patriots because you're getting a 3.5 and they're both bad teams.
Yeah.
But we don't know that, so we can't bet on it. Into the 3:00 hour, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars going to play the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles are -7.5.
That's a lot of points for a team I'm not sure I believe in.
Yeah, I mean, this Jags team just covered +4 against the Packers.
Yeah. And granted, the Jags are a disaster that gets worse and worse every week, but like that division's up for grabs.
Granted, they just traded their left tackle, didn't they?
Yeah, but their backup left tackle is arguably better. Like Walker Little's going to step in and be just as good, if not better.
Yeah, that's a good point. I forgot they had Walker Little.
Yeah, I mean, frankly, I would have started Little over Cam Robinson just because I had him.
I mean, I think they were paying Cam Robinson like $16 million, so they were like, "Yeah, you're gonna play until we can trade you."
Yeah,
so
like, I could see the Jaguars giving up, but they haven't to this point, and I don't think that the Eagles are actually great. So I'm not laying more than a fucking touchdown with them.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm tempted on Jags just because it's 7.5, but they can blow up at any point at any week. So I'm fine just staying away from it. Next up, we have the Chicago Bears going to play the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals are -1.
I think I go Bears.
I was gonna say, I mean, I like the Bears. I mean, their defense should be able to handle the Cardinals. And I mean, Caleb Williams has looked bad.
He's not good. And it's worrisome because I was directionally right compared to most people. Everybody said Caleb Williams, genius, generational, amazing. I said, he'll be okay. He'll be a solid starting quarterback. I gave him a 2.5 grade. That's the same shit I gave Will Levis and Trevor Lawrence. He's fine. I'm not falling all over myself to get him, but I would have taken him top 5 for sure. That's more an indictment of the current NFL than praise for Caleb Williams, though. But he just looks, first of all, his deep ball is even worse now than it was in college, and that's a low bar. That is a low bar that he has crawled under. In the 11 games of Caleb Williams' college career that I watched, he was accurate on about 28% of deep balls. In the NFL right now, it's about 13.
Jesus.
Yeah, so if he throws 10 deep balls, you'll get one. It's insane, and it's a perfect encapsulation of just how fucking putrid NFL discourse is, because all anybody would talk about last year, I'd say, like, Caleb Williams' deep ball is terrible. People are like, that's like literally what he does. LOL, watch the games one time. It's like, you watch 2 highlights of him running around in a circle and throwing the ball as far and high as he could, and they got caught. And you think that means he's good at throwing the deep ball, when every time he throws the deep ball, it's scattershot bad. Anyway, what he is amazing at avoiding pressure. Like, he is Kyler Murray level already at navigating a pocket and just being too fast and slippery. And I don't know how the Cardinals hold the Bears under 24 points, just because I don't think they can stop shit. They can't stop the run. DeAndre Swift is explosive. They can't stop the pass. God forbid Caleb Williams has a decent game. Other side, the Cardinals their only avenue to success on offense is Kyler Murray doing some fuck shit. But Kyler Murray's not going to be able to do fuck shit because all the Bears do is play Tampa 2. This is technical, but Tampa 2 defense is kind of like cover 2 defense, except the middle linebacker drops super deep. So there's a big hole in the middle of the field, the very center of the field. But that's okay because Kyler Murray can't throw to that area. He's too short. It's the whole thing. Like, it's the whole reason that Cliff Kingsbury had to reinvent his offense to be spread instead of air raid, because Kyler can't throw between the tackles. So the Bears have a big, long defensive line who's going to get their hands up. Kyler Murray's not going to be able to throw to the middle of the field. Everything else is going to be covered, and it's going to be zone. So a fast linebacker like TJ Edwards or Trey Edmonds is going to be running with that quarterback. I don't see how the fucking Cardinals move the ball. And this is a Cardinals team that has relied on the skin of their teeth and lots of turnover luck to beat a bad Dolphins team and a worse Chargers team. Meanwhile, all anybody's going to remember from the Bears is they stunk against the Commanders. But A, it's got to be better. It's got to get better. And B, they still should have beat the Commanders.
Yeah, and this might be a little bit of voodoo, but the Bears have got to be pissed off, but also feeling like, damn, we can, like, Washington's right now, has one of the best records in the league, has been one of the hottest teams this season.
They're certainly the most hypey team in the NFL.
And the Bears got to go, like, we should have won that game.
Yeah.
Now they get to play a worse Cardinals team, but they're pissed off and they want to win.
And they're in perfect
because they're like, we should have. And
they're in perfect conditions. And something that people haven't really picked up on yet, Caleb Williams' best games have been in domes.
It makes sense.
And he looked like shit it was weird weather against Washington because it looked like it was raining or gonna rain, but it didn't. It was just super overcast and gloomy. It's going to be in sunny Arizona in a dome. Dude, I like the matchup for the Bears. I lean Bears pretty heavy.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Arizona, it's always scary because Marvin Harrison, although he hasn't been that involved, can still make insane plays. Kyler, same thing. I mean, he has giant holes in his game, but it's very hard to sack him. It's hard to contain him, and he can make crazy stuff happen. Now, I think the Bears have a good defense to contain him.
Anything Kyler can do, Caleb can do the same shit.
True, but Caleb really hasn't had, like, Kyler has had good games before.
Yeah.
Caleb hasn't really. Again, he's played 7 weeks or 8 weeks or whatever, but I think the Bears are a better roster. I think the Cardinals are coached better. I think the quarterbacks are pretty similar, but I'd put Kyler ahead of Caleb simply because we've seen him be good, even if it's fleeting, whereas Caleb has kind of looked like shit all year.
Yeah, I think that Caleb will surpass Kyler, but he hasn't yet, obviously.
Right.
But yeah, like the only games that Caleb played well in are Indianapolis and Jacksonville in London, both in domes. Back to the dome. I also just think that it's going to be so trendy this week to hate on the Bears and like, oh, the Cardinals beat 2 teams with playoff aspirations the last 2 weeks. This is just market-based evaluation. Aside from the angle that I think the Bears defense is uniquely good at handling Kyler, I think that the smart money is going to be on the Bears, and I kind of want to be part of it.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. What is it, +2.5? Remind me?
No, it's Bears +1. So it'd be money line +110.
I like getting a couple points more, but all right. Well, we only have a handful of games left anyway, so yeah, we'll maybe pile it. We'll move on. We have the Detroit Lions going to play the Green Bay Packers. The Lions are -3.5.
If everybody's healthy, I'm taking the Packers, but they're not. We're either going to get a really banged up Jordan Love, which is a terrible thing, or we're going to get Malik Willis. And as much as I think the Packers might be better with Malik Willis, I don't like believing that because I can't imagine that Matt LaFleur just has infinite things to pull out of his bag of tricks.
I don't really want to bet on this game.
It's going to be a good game. I lean Green Bay. I really lean Green Bay catching the 3.5.
Yeah, you're a home dog. It's a divisional game. Who did Detroit play last week? Was it Tennessee?
They played the Titans, and they scored 52 points despite having like 56 passing yards because they had like 3 special teams touchdowns.
So we should revisit New England too.
Oh yeah, no, we're not doing that bet. We're not betting that game. But
Drake May gets announced as playing,
fine,
but probably won't happen. At least not when we have to put picks in.
Very early. Very early in the season, we were asking, like, why does God hate us? There's no possible way. Hey, it's not like the Titans have the worst special teams of all time, right? So why would we need to handicap special teams for the first time ever? Turns out they do. And whoever that special teams coach is never working in football again.
All right, so we're going to pass on Detroit and Green Bay. We're going to lean Green Bay, but I don't think it'll make it into the maybe pile even. But next up, we have the Los Angeles Rams going to play the Seattle Seahawks. The Rams are -1.5.
Cha-ching, Rams.
Going to be good weather?
It's Seattle. Of course not. It's going to be 53 and dry.
Well, yeah, that's all that really matters.
It's the only day of the week that it's going to not rain, but we dodged the bullet.
Yeah, I'm fine with that then.
Basic handicap. Rams offensive line's getting healthier. Their defensive line is sick. The Seattle offensive line is bad. So nice matchup. Geno Smith's been playing like shit lately, and it's only going to get worse with all this pressure coming at his face. Meanwhile, the Rams offense is almost complete, and the Seahawks defense is not killing it.
Yeah, I mean, the Rams are getting healthy. Stafford has been playing insane lately. Jared Verse is crazy. That guy's awesome.
Jared Verse is, I mean, like, he's a 24-year-old rookie, but fuck, he's good.
Yeah, like, obviously the Rams defense will always worry me, but I think they're going to be able to score.
I think they'll be able to score. I think they'll get after Geno Smith a lot. And then I don't think DK Metcalf is playing. And if he's not playing, then suddenly the Seahawks wide receivers are really slow. Like, Tyler Lockett is still fast, but he's getting older. And he is just one receiver. Smith and Jigba and Bobo are both slow dudes. Like, really slow. And the one flaw with the Rams secondary is that they're slow as fuck. But if you're slow and they're slow, then it's fine. Plus, it matches how I foresee this division going. The whole division is going to be 4 and 5.
Yeah, that does track. Yeah, I mean, I'm good with it, especially at -1.5. I think it's a good number because we just basically got to win.
Yeah.
All right, so cha-ching.
Cha-ching. Rams, our third definite bet.
Moving on to Sunday night, we have the Indianapolis Colts going to play the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings are -5.
Is this line adjusted for the fact that Anthony Richardson finally got benched? Yes.
Yes.
Fuck. Okay, so it was -6.5 until Flacco was announced starter, meaning Vegas thinks that Flacco is worth 2.5 points.
1.5.
Fuck. I still think that honestly might not be enough. I
don't think it is.
I have to lean Colts here. Like, I think the Colts with Flacco are a legitimately very good team. Not as good as the Vikings, but certainly within a touchdown. Man. So the Colts suck on defense. We know that the Vikings will score a ton. The only question is how much will the Vikings stop the Colts on offense?
I mean, they've got 3 legit receivers.
They got 4. They got A.D. Mitchell.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
They have 4 times as many good receivers as the Patriots. No, they have infinitely more. They have 4 times as many good receivers as the Commanders.
The O-line's still very good. Jonathan Taylor's good.
Everything about this team is good, except their quarterback, who's okay.
And their secondary kind of sucks as well.
Oh, no, their defense is fucking bad.
I mean, the line's all right.
It's okay. I don't know. I don't like any of these. I like their defensive tackles. Yeah, I bet the over. I don't want to lay 5. I don't want to fucking lay 5 points against a team that I think is underrated.
Yeah, I think it's a tough one. I don't think that number is big enough to take the Colts just because I could very easily see them losing by a touchdown because they're not going to be able to stop anything. And as much as, Joe Flacco is an upgrade, he's still an old motherfucker.
Yep.
That is prone to making mistakes or just doing stuff that he used to be able to do that he can't do anymore.
I mean, last year with the Browns, he threw a fuck ton of pickables.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm good with just passing this one. And let's move on to Monday night. We have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going to play the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs are -8.5.
PFF has Baker Mayfield lower graded than Patrick Mahomes in 2024. What the fuck? The guy leads the NFL in touchdowns and he's second in yardage. When are people just going to be like, maybe he's fucking good? I don't know.
I don't know. He'll probably have to win a Super Bowl.
There is a word for how I would describe that scenario, that circumstance that you have laid out, and I can't say it on a podcast.
Proud of you.
I didn't say the nasty things. I paused before I said the nasty things. My webcam is going super blurry. I think that the Bucs are a really good bet here.
Yeah. I mean, at 8.5.
8.5. Because here's what's going to happen. First of all, the Chiefs' offense kind of sucks. Second of all, you can't run on the Bucs. I gotta fix this webcam. This is messed up. I spent a lot of money on this thing. Okay, we fixed the webcam. You can't run on the Bucs, and that's how the Chiefs have been making their hay. To the extent they've been making hay, which like they haven't. Baker Mayfield is going to score 20 points because he always does. He's been so fucking good, despite not having any receivers. Now. He did have good receivers. I don't think DeAndre Hopkins matters yet because he's been there for a fucking week and a half and he's not exactly a yak threat. Frankly, DeAndre Hopkins is pretty washed. And I think that the Chiefs made a pretty big mistake by going after him instead of Deontay Johnson.
Yeah.
Especially because they paid more for Hopkins. It's bad GMing. These are the luxuries you're afforded when you have an elite offensive line and a good quarterback in Andy Reid. I think that the Bucs prevent and blitz defense actually matches up pretty well with the Chiefs offense because the Chiefs offense is lots of, well, fuck no, because the Chiefs are going to know they're playing the Bucs and they're just going to run slants. They're going to hit slants and there's going to be no linebackers nearby and they're going to score as many points as they fucking want. But I feel like there's a growing momentum building towards the Buccaneers firing Todd Bowles. And I feel like beating the Chiefs, who are a very overrated and beatable team, is just what the doctor ordered for Todd Bowles to never fucking leave Tampa.
My math just comes down to these are two pretty similar teams. The Chiefs are better because they're better coached and they're just more complete. But it should not be 8.5, in my opinion. I don't think they're that different. Like, yeah, the Bucs were kind of getting boat raced by the Falcons, but I think that's because the Falcons' offense matches up perfectly for what the Bucs do.
Yeah. But Andy Reid's going to know that, and he's going to do that too.
Maybe.
I don't want to bet this fucking game. I hate Todd Bowles. It was
No, that's very fair.
It was amazing.
8.5, man.
It was amazing watching the Buccaneers last week and knowing they couldn't hurt me.
No, that's a great point.
Fuck. I mean, like, yeah, you should bet on the Buccaneers if you're betting this game. It's Monday Night Football. I'll probably end up throwing a couple grand on the Buccaneers. I don't want to, but it'll be fun in like kind of an aggravating, I want to kill so many people way. I didn't say that, YouTube. I didn't mean it like that, YouTube. Fuck it. We're not putting it on YouTube. All right, we've run through the whole gamut. We know we're taking Houston +2, but like we're taking it money line. We know we're taking Atlanta -2.5. We know we're taking Rams -1.5. We kind of like Cleveland over the Chargers, and we kind of like the Bears money line. That's 5.
Yeah, I mean, we also have Washington -3.5.
Fuck. All right. Cleveland, Chicago, and Washington. Which one do you like most?
Probably Chicago.
I agree. Cleveland or Washington?
I don't know. I mean, Washington feels safer.
It does. It feels very safe. That's why I don't trust it.
Yeah, I just feel like we're going to come back next week and Washington is going to have won by 3 and Cleveland is going to have won because the Chargers aren't very good. But I don't know. Like, it's Justin Herbert. He has torched the Browns.
Here's what we do, Alex. We bet on Washington not because I think they're a better bet, but because if they win, we win. And if they lose, I make fun of Commanders.
Hey, that's great. Setting yourself up for a nice win-win situation.
I'm not betting this one with real money. I'm not giving it out to the people on the Patreon. So all that really matters is how I feel. We give out the Commanders as our 5th pick instead of the Browns. And if it wins...
I mean, we could also talk about Green Bay +3.5. I know that was lower, but...
We don't know who their quarterback is.
Yeah, that's a good point. All right. I'm good with those 5. The real question is, who's our best bet?
Is it fucking Rams? Or is it fucking Houston?
Or Atlanta? I might like Atlanta more than Houston.
Then
because I think they're going to be able to run like crazy.
They are. We throw 2 units on each of the 3 of them because those are the 3 that we really like, and the others are kind of just whatever.
That's fine with me.
Right. 2 units Houston, 2 units Atlanta, 2 units Rams, 1 unit Bears, 1 unit Commanders, 0.25 units Buccaneers money line. They are going off at +440 right now.
A quarter of a unit?
Yeah, and if it wins, we get a little over a unit.
Beautiful.
And if it loses, it's a fucking rounding error.
Yeah.
Do we like any teasers? Ooh, Buffalo and New Orleans.
Is Derek Carr for sure playing?
I don't really care. It's the Panthers. Damn it, the fucking Yankees are gonna win.
Yeah, it looks like it. That's fine. You just set them up for a gentleman's sweep.
Sounds like lads in 5.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you said from the start, so credit.
It was always lads in 5. Yeah, throw a teaser for one unit, Buffalo and New Orleans. They both just have to win.
So that'll bring Buffalo to money line.
Yep.
And New Orleans to +1.
-1.
They're -1.
But
All
yeah,
right.
another successful pod. And we're going to have back-to-back winning weeks for the first time since week 2. And it's going to be glorious.
I believe, and we can break this streak of winning week, losing week, winning week, losing week, winning week, losing week that we've been on.
To quote Alexander Ovechkin, we are not going to be suck.
A wise man.
And when we win 4 units, we will be one more good week away from profit. So, until next week, I'm not going to say whether or not you should tail us or fade us. Bye.